In a your sight, in a your sight, in a God's eye, me want live right. Walk where you want me to walk. Talk where you want me to talk.
Hi guys!
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you guys?
We're back.
How are you guys? It's been a while, a long time. I missed you guys. I missed the every other Sunday afternoon get together and activity. I missed the little preparations and stuff. Candace, how have you been since we last met?
I have been good, Good. No complaints to be quite honest.
Nice. How's the second wave of coronavirus treating you?
Well, I don't know how to answer that question for the world to know. Like I don't want to say, I don't want to sound insensitive if I say good. I
Yeah.
want to sound, but it has not been bad. Let's just say that. It has not been bad. No complaints. God has been keeping me.
And you're coping well.
Coping very well.
Same on my side. I would still say God has been good to me. I mean, the situation is not the best. I mean, you see a lot of things happening around, but I think all in all, we still see God's faithfulness and stuff around the corner.
Yeah, man.
And stuff like that. So we're back this season. Last season we would have covered a lot of topics on ourselves. We spoke about mental health. We spoke about understanding your purpose. We spoke about Judas. We spoke about unforgiveness and stuff like that. So we did a lot of focus on the inner man. We did a lot of introspection. And I think coming out of that, I myself, even though I am on this side of the screen, I would have, from then to now, I would have remembered a lot of what we would have discussed, and I would have seen things happening, and we spoke about this in WTT or whatever. So, we finished treating with ourselves for the most part.
Right.
And our people, were requesting some topics.
They want the relationship talk.
Yeah, they want to talk on relationships. So having dealt with ourselves, we decided that, now is a good time. Having dealt with unforgiveness, having dealt with understanding how to deal with hurts and pains and betrayals from other people, we've spoken about how to manage stress and how to manage your mental health and, being physically healthy, being spiritually healthy, being mentally healthy, how important all of that is. I think that would have set the groundwork and the foundation for us now to walk into this season of discussing relationships with us being in a good place.
Right.
Yeah. Agreed. So today, as Candace would have said in her little video, we have in relationships 101. When you just enter university and you start with that introductory level.
Start off with the basics.
Yeah, we start off with the basics. So I don't know if Candace, you have anything you want to say as a little prelude going into the episode?
Sure. So guys, talking about relationships, something that all of us either have been in, currently are in, or are going to be in. And as Mateela said this evening, sorry, we're speaking about the basics. You're going to be looking at 3 different areas in particular. You're going to look at dating versus courting. Some people will say, no, we dating, but some people will be like, no, we courting. What's the difference? Dating, courting, what's the difference? But there is a difference. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about re-entering into relationships. So sometimes, you went through a breakup and you're not ready yet, or you don't know if to go out yet. You don't know if there's a particular time, like, okay, I'm supposed to do it a year before we enter, or I could re-enter one time. Like, we don't really know. We're going to discuss that. And what's the third thing, Mateela? Is it?
Defining relationships generally.
Defining relationships generally. What is a relationship?
Yeah.
So we're going to look at that.
We just, before we introduce our guests, I just saw a comment from Pearl telling us, welcome back. We missed you, Pearl. We missed you too. If you guys could just check in quickly, let us know who's there so we could see and say hello. It'll be nice. I've seen a couple of you there. So if you say something, we'll know you're there. because of how this live working. But anyway, without further ado, we have a guest today. Without being sappy or being overly formal, our guest is like a big brother, I guess, to like everybody growing up. Our guest today is Mr. Ronnie Rambally. Ronnie, as we know him. Ronnie has been like, I would say, it's like just that big brother. Like, you go to camps, you go to different events. If you're familiar with Open Bible and Open Bible circles and stuff like that, Ronnie is a guy that we just know. And Ronnie has always been a very gentle person, very, very humble, I would say, very easily approachable, and somebody that, you could feel very comfortable with. And in our selection of guests for this season, we were kind of very cautious in picking because we wanted to ensure that we had persons who could come and be very open, be very real, be very relatable, and somebody who you guys won't see as being like, shirt and tie, that kind of setup. So we want to encourage everybody. So we're seeing Alicia, Marissa, Kadeen, Atkins, everybody, thanks for being there. So, we set in the stage, I know last season we did a lot of talking from our end, but we really want this season, because of the nature of relationships are a very personal thing, and from person to person we'll have different ideas and different comments. So we want these sessions to be a lot more engaging, where you guys talk to us a lot. So be there in the comments, give us your questions as we roll on. It's more of a conversation style this season, so we hope that you're jumping and you're interested, so we could bring Big Brother Ronnie out.
I like that name, Big Brother Ronnie.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You all had me wondering for a while we were speaking about.
Could never be. You should be sure.
Thanks for that.
Welcome
gracious.
to WCC.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here. It's really a pleasure to be here.
All right. So, you could probably tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourselves to the persons that are listening. I would have just given them the introduction that I know, because I know you, but I didn't leave out. I didn't include any specifics. So tell us a little bit about who Big Brother Ronnie is.
Big Brother Ronnie. Okay. My name is Ronnie Rambally. I'm the husband of one wife. Bless the Lord. At the same time, I've been saved over 20 years. 20 years now. I was actually saved on a NYO camp. For those campers who are out there, I'm a product of the camp. The year 2000, God has been good to me. And since then, Lord has been putting me in some interesting positions. Very interesting positions, where I am now a regional leader over a few churches within Open Bible, as well as someone who does missions, as well as who help with mentorship, do a lot of things. Wherever the Lord wants me to be, I am there. And I just try to be quite normal. And as you all say, a big brother, I try to be that as much as possible, so that people could see Christian living is good living.
Yes.
That's the most important thing. Yes, Atkins. Blessings to you, bro.
So I think that's a good platform to start off on, because we have a following, our community. Yes, we have a lot of people who are already Christians, but we have a lot of persons who are not Christians as well. And one of the aims and purposes of WTT is to share with anybody that will hear, anybody that will listen, anybody will watch, that Christian living is good living. It's not as restrictive as people think it is. Our aim is to share, the goodness, the good message, the good news, and display to people that, we good. We real good over here. We real good. We solid,
So
True. And
so true.
Yeah. So that's a good place to start off with respect to what we're talking about today, defining relationships. Now, we could have like a secular definition of relationships, I would imagine, but then we also have relationships from the Christian perspective. And for the purposes of this episode, and this season we're actually talking about romantic relationships as opposed to platonic relationships and parental relationships and sibling relationships and stuff. So um with your, and I know you would engage a lot with youth and stuff like that. So when a young person, jumps up and be like, "Oh, Ronnie, we talking about relationships. I like this person. I like that person." How would you define a romantic relationship from the Christian perspective?
First of all, this is a very challenging topic for a lot of young people because, when you reach a certain age, you want a relationship. So I would define a relationship in the Christian context as two people, male and female, coming to get to know each other to enter into marriage. Full stop. Simple to the point is to marriage. Because we're not about this just having boyfriend, girlfriend all over the place. We want to
Right.
know we're getting married.
Right.
We have an end goal.
That's it.
All
Yeah,
right.
and I think that's a pretty basic one line, and it sums it all up.
Okay. Sums this all up in a. So then, what we will be familiar with, like in mainstream media, and stuff like that, would be the concept of dating,
Hmm.
right? Um, and this is one of the things we wanted to touch on today: dating versus courting.
Yeah.
Now, by a Google definition, right? Um, what Ronnie would have defined there as his definition of a relationship is what Google says is a courtship, right? Um, where two persons are engaged with each other, getting to know each other with the intention of getting married. Then the question would be, what is dating? One, and should we as Christians be interested in dating after we figure out what the definition of dating is? So we take it stage by stage. See, Ronnie just laughing. So we define what we okay. So we've established what we in our Christian context believe a relationship is. So Candace and Ronnie, let me hear you all what we thinking about dating.
Well, for me, my parents would always say to me, always since I growing up, and like, well, I'm not sure if the person's younger than me, because I'm still young, still use the term dealing. Like, I'm not sure if that is still a term by in secondary school. Like, if you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, they will say dealing. So I don't know if they have a new term for it now.
I I
No, you don't know you're saying.
I don't know either.
Okay, cool. So I remember in Form 5, I was writing 6. I really like this particular person, and like kill me there. Like I know what I want in life. I'm 16. I really like this boy. He liked me. We went the same church. So I thinking, all right, to settle down. I saw big woman. I know what I want in life. Oh gosh. So I remember going to my parents and I told them, I like this person, and I'm thinking about creating a relationship with them. And I said I get the talk about dating and courting. And my father said to me that once you are not sure about somebody, once you are getting to know somebody to decide whether this is the person you want to get married, so you're doing it as a get to know. Get to know you, I get to know me, but we're hanging out alone together. We're doing things that a couple would do, boyfriend and girlfriend would do, but we are still exploring the options. We are not committed, or we are not exclusive. We're not, you can't say Candace-Joy with XYZ and Mateela with XYZ. We just dating, we just chilling, but it's not official. Whereas courting is something that you are committed to this person. I'm committed to getting to know this person alone. I know at the end of the day, this is the person I want to get married to. So I have shut down all other interests. Where I think for me, dating, you are still, you're still learning Tom, Dick, and Harry. You're entertaining. Because I think when most people dating, well, for me, when I hear somebody say they're dating, they date more than one person at the same time. And people just be dating or two, three people at the same time. When I hear people say they're dating, so for me, that is my thing. So in my opinion, I don't think dating is the wisest thing to do. I'm all for for courting. But at the same time, do I have to date before I court?
I was going to ask you that question, but we will get to that after Big Brother Ronnie give us his breakdown. Somebody in the comments say you had to generalize before you specialize.
Yeah, I thought and I said, but wait, I might have to date before I court.
Generalize, what trouble?
All right, Ronnie. So let's.
Hi, Josan. That's my friend from USC. Hi, Josan.
Let's hear Ronnie. So, dating.
The concept of dating, I think, is a Americanized something. These are a Hollywood concept, but I think we could get to know people. We don't necessarily have to date, quote unquote, in terms of, okay, I go out with this person today, I go out with the next person tomorrow. I think that is a recipe for trouble, because you can be given mixed signals if you don't set boundaries, and at the same time, I don't think it's wise, because if it is you're looking with the intention to go and get married, it's not like you're going to just look for any and anybody online or at your job or anything like that. You're going to look at this person prayerfully first of all, and you're observing. So I think you can get to know people in a group setting. I think you can get to know people even just messaging or something like that. But in terms of going out on a date, I think that for me is a little shaky kind of ground. Because
so you're saying, Ronnie,
you're talking from a Christian concept as well too? Yes.
So you're saying establish a friendship. That's what you're saying, establish a friendship. Is that what you were saying?
I think that is important,
My question would be, so you guys have a meeting at the Minds on date, what dating is. And I think my understanding has now come to be that is exactly what it is. Dating is a course of activities you would engage in with a person or more than one person under the guise that you are just getting to know different people. But I agree with Ronnie that dating could be a little problematic, particularly where you adopt the approach that you're dating more than one person at a time. Because yes, you could set boundaries, but to me, when it comes to matters of the heart, boundaries is kind of fade away real quick. So today, somebody might understand this is the boundary, we dating, and I am, but the understanding is that I could also go out with somebody else, right? For me, that's kind of messy. My personality, I can't manage that. I'm going to be doing craziness, probably like sending wrong message to wrong person. I can't manage that, right? And that could lead to some serious entanglements using that could lead to some problems, right? But now, let's say we're talking about, Ronnie would have mentioned getting to know somebody probably like in a group setting, and Candace would have said, establish a friendship, right? That's fine. But as somebody just said in the comments, we don't know about dating because from the time somebody see you with one person, they assume it's exclusive, right? Yeah. So is it that there's some sort of blurred line between, let's ignore for a minute, probably dating more than one person at a time. You're probably just getting to know this one person. Establishing a friendship would include some sort of exclusive activity, not so?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It is based upon, I think, is the people involved. How they want this, what they are getting into, to appear to other people as well too. Because if they wanted to seem exclusive, well, yeah, then they will be going out together and everywhere one is, you'll see the other person. Or if it is, okay, I'm trying to get to know this person, but at the same time, I'm trying to, not reach that place where people look at it as something being exclusive, because I just want to know the person without any kind of external pressure. Because as soon as you become, people seeing you alone, the assumptions start to jump up. And they talk, all they're looking real good together, all they got a nice churn, and all these kind of things start to jump up. So I think it is something that we are looking, as I say, the end result and the end game is marriage.
Right.
So we can't be looking for the end game for marriage with everybody we're going out if we have 7 people for the week to go out with. That not making sense,
And I think
in my
too,
humble opinion.
Ronnie, just I don't know if just like a by the way comment, and I'm saying this from experience too. The best way to get to know somebody, what you will get to know through dating, like if we're saying I'm dating to get to know the person, the best way to get to know somebody is in their familiar territory with friends in a group.
Correct.
That is the best. You're not going to get it any realer
True.
than when the person is with what one is describing there. When you all go out in a group, when you all do things
Yeah.
not one on one, because one on one, we playing taboo, we playing on charades, we playing on a show. But when
Yeah.
the person is in their comfort zone, so I
Advertising.
think, yeah, so I think
Advertising. That's all right.
So I think in the context of getting to know somebody, someone says, "Well, I'm dating, so I can get to know this person, and I want to ensure that this person is what I want." You don't need to be doing that one on one. That's not necessary to get to know somebody. Hang with a
Yeah.
group and my friend, there you will really get to know the person that you want to involve yourself with.
Does age factor into this dating, this getting to know in groups? Because arguments might be that I am 35 years old, I am 36 years old, or something of this sort. Um, how practical is it, or is it necessary for me to get to know this person in a group setting? We are, I mean, you're mature, you have a particular age. Um, your parties will assumingly know what they're looking for, what they want, and at that age and stage, maybe persons will be less inclined to do the charade or put on the taboo or whatever. So, is the group method, the group method, probably the approach taken by the church in particular, the group method would be for like younger people to ensure that certain indiscretions and stuff doesn't take place. I mean, you'd want to ensure that certain indiscretions don't take place at a more mature age as well. Don't get me wrong, but would there be more leeway for mature persons to
No, I don't
get
think
to know
so.
each other on an individual basis?
For me, I would say no, because even if you are 45, what you bring into me when we are alone and what you bring into me when you sit down with your family is two different things. Or when you sit down with a group of your friends, a joke you will make with a group of your friends, you mightn't dare make that joke in front of me. So I still think, I don't think, I understand you, I understand what you're saying then in terms of we big, we mature, we know exactly what we want. I know I want somebody who is saved, and I want somebody who um let me see, I have to be very wise. I want somebody who's saved, I want somebody who's neat, I want somebody who doesn't chew with their mouth open and food flying out. Like I know exactly what it is I want. However, I still believe this is my opinion. I still believe, despite the age, despite if the person is 20, 40, or 60, I believe that group setting, when we're talking about the definitions of the dating and getting to know, I think that group setting. And when I say group, I don't mean like you have to go with a whole group. I just mean just not you and the person alone. It comes in pretty handy. That is just my opinion. I don't really want to add what's one your opinion on it.
Um, I agree with you, Candace. I think the reasoning for the group, as you say, is to really see people in their element, to really see
Mm-hmm.
people in their element where there's no pressure to perform and
Yes.
to advertise.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the biggest things, because a lot of people, when it comes to supposed dating or courting, they come in to sell a product. And most times, the product is the inferior. So it is something that we need to know. We have to see people in their natural element. So I think if it is you're looking at a boy, you're looking at a girl, what you could do, go and check them home. See how they function home with the
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is something so you can see them rather than if it's a young lady, you're seeing them with their hair comb, no makeup on, they ain't looking nice. You know, they're not performing. They're out there, so you can really see them. And if it is, you can really see them and understand them in this place and in this space. Well, I think there will be no hiding because just as it says either 35 or 45 or we don't want to issues with the younger people, we are all flesh at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So if you're young, if you're old, we are flesh. And we're trying to protect people. Because I think one of the issues with the dating aspect is that people a lot of times tend to get physical, and that's where the drama does end up. So you're getting physical with a whole heap of people, and it's causing a lot of drama where relationships come about in this dating versus courting.
And I think, as you said that, Ronnie, it touches on a topic that we intend to cover later on, the issue of soul ties as well. Because in the dating setting, if you dating 4 or 5 people at the same time, you tend to make emotional attachments with people. The more time you spend with people, particularly on the one-on-one basis, you tend to make emotional attachments. It might not be apparent to you at the time, but you might find yourself at a point in time, you're dating 3 people at a time, and you end up having significant emotional attachments to each of these persons. And you have to figure out, okay, I no longer want to see this person, or then I meet the 4th person, and I tell myself, okay, this person, number 4, hitting the targets, he's saved, he not chewing with his mouth open, as Candace said, and you want to pursue this. But then you have these other 3 emotional attachments that you now have to string on. You have to think about things like comparison, expectations, and how you're going to manage that dynamic when you've been seeing 3, 4, 5 people at a time.
That is where the trouble comes in. So that is what I always say. Once it is that you're looking at someone, it is for the purpose of marriage. Because we have this situation, even in the churches, where, yes, you may be entertaining or speaking to a lot of young ladies or young men, and you're leading them on. You're leading them on because at some point in time, you have some issues that you need to be fulfilled. You like the attention, or, sometimes these things occur. And it is something that I think that in order to deal with these things, even before you reach a place of entering into a courtship, and as what you were dealing with last season, you need to be whole as a person. You need to be whole. You need to understand who you are, where you're going, in order to be joined to somebody else who is whole as well too. So I'm not one who comes and advocates for saying this is my better half. No, I am a whole. My wife is a whole. And as the Bible says, when the 2 come together, we are one. So there's no better half.
Right. I want to go back to the point Mateela made about referring to soul ties and dating. And I never thought about it that way, because reality is you can't have soul ties are not only passed on through sex. You can have a soul tie through many different ways, right? And I never thought about it like that. Like, if I am connecting with Tom, John, Harry, Paul, I am leaving and opening up myself to pieces of Tom, Harry, Paul, and John. And I never thought about it like that. So that's a really good point. And that is what dating is all about, really getting to know. And that's what I was saying in the beginning. He was saying friendship, because reality is when you get to know somebody in an intimate level, the first things you start to do, you want to know about the person, so you take up in the past, you start to expose certain things, you start to open up certain things, and those things are revealed. And okay, John is not the one, so I go on to Dick now, and I open up my past, and and John and Dick is doing the same thing, and different behaviors. Some Dick I picking up within that 2 or 3 weeks with small. So that is a really, really, really excellent point, and I never paid attention to it, but that is so true. Wow.
I want to backpedal on something as well, Ronnie and Candace, and that is the idea that, as the person said in the comment, she puts it in a very nice way, generalize in order to specialize. The idea that, okay, as Ronnie first started off, we reach an age where you just want a relationship. you're not studying whether it's for marriage or you just want a relationship, right? And marriage might be somewhere in your mind. But the idea that, okay, I want a relationship or I want to get married, it even happens particularly with women of a particular age and even men of a particular age. You reach a stage where you want to get married and you tell yourself, well, okay, let me put some logic on this. If I date like 10 people one time, I generalize, I see what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 have to offer. I pick from here, pull from there, whatever. Out of the 10, I could date 10 and then I could narrow and court one. Right? From the Christian perspective, what I think we've established that dating multiple people at a time is probably not a very good idea for reasons given before, right? But having said that, we need to discuss then what is the way to go about selecting. I mean, this will come in later episodes, but this is our general introductory episode, right? So, what then should be the approach to? In other words, I'm saying, so okay, no, not dating multiple people at a time. How do I go from being single and disengaged to in a relationship towards in a relationship towards getting married? How, or Ronnie, you know what? Let's personalize it a little bit as much as you are willing to personalize it. Let us know from your personal experience because you are married, Candace and I are not. So we still looking for tips, just like probably, So how would you say, from your experience and generally from your knowledge, how would you say what would you say is the better approach, or what would you say was the approach that worked for yourself?
Okay, let's see. Let's see how to really make this concise. First of all, I believe as believers, we are Christians. We need to know exactly where God wants us to be. We need to be functioning. I'm not saying in ministry, but you don't know what is your purpose upon the face of you. Because if it is you don't know your purpose, for you to go and be joined to a man or to be joined to a woman now, what are you going to join them to? What it is you're going to really join them to? So I wanted to get married when I was 23 years old. Right? 23 years old. That was a long way ago, long time ago. I got married last year. I got married at 38 years old. Right? And the thing is that at 23 years old, I wasn't in the position where I needed to be to get married. My attitude was stink. I had bad mindsets. I was stubborn. I was not willing to forgive. There were a lot of things that I had to deal with before I could actually come and say that, or even God would be willing to give me a young lady, one of his daughters, to say, hey, I am giving her to you. Right. And at 23, I wasn't in that place. And this is what we need to understand, that we have to understand where we are at, because they'll tell you all that you need to be financially secure, whatever that is.
Whatever that
is. They tell you you want to have a bird, you need to have a cage. I don't know. That is what they say. You need to be emotionally mature, and then you need to be ready for marriage. And for me, these things are kind of vague, and I don't think they're really grounded in actual reality, because you could say you're financially stable. Financially stable for what? Because if you're waiting to be financially stable, for some people, they may never be financially stable.
Never, yeah.
And they always think they need to have more. Or until I finish build my house, then I'll get married. These kind of things. And I think, honestly, I don't believe it's the right way we need to look at it. Because if we look at the Bible, right? The Bible, Adam, he was functioning his purpose. He was working for God. God tell him, keep this garden, take care of it. And while he was actually naming the animals, the Lord said, and he looked at Adam and he said, it's not good for a man to be alone. And Adam was actually naming the animals. And while he's naming the animals, he realized that every animal had a mate. And he realized after he named all the animals, he himself didn't have a mate. So he was functioning where God wanted him to function. And only then the woman came.
Right.
So I think a lot of times what happens with us is that we have urges. We want somebody to hug up when he night come, and that is why we want to get married. That is the basis of it. And
Mm.
yes, that is very good. But at the end of the day, it might not be practical because then sometimes the marriage is short lived because they enter with the wrong motive. You enter with the wrong motive. And I think until I reached that place that the Lord had me where He wanted me, and I was ready to be teachable as well too, and to be able to grow, take criticism, and be able to grow as well too. That is when the woman came into my life. But she was always there. She was always there in my life. It's just
Yeah.
then the light bulb came on, and I had
So
the
Right.
Ronnie,
eureka
so it's
moment.
kind of like after you would have gone through your process and you would have arrived at your place of purpose, you were able to recognize the wife in your wife.
Yeah, after all the mistakes and nonsense I do, then I realized like good woman in front of me, good woman. You
And
know,
she
so
is.
is yes she is, yes she is.
She is. So what I gather from what you're saying, and I think I agree wholeheartedly, is that probably as a Christian, um, one of the best approaches to or the prelude to getting into a relationship is to understand your purpose. Um, I believe that until purpose gives you vision,
Yeah.
right? Purpose helps you to understand, finding out your purpose helps you to understand who you are, why you are, and what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And purpose is a very good yardstick against which to measure your spouse or your
Mm-hmm.
intended spouse, because your husband or your wife is your destiny helper. Your husband or your wife is your helpmeet, and your husband or your wife is supposed to assist you, encourage you in your purpose, in fulfilling your
Yeah.
God given destiny. So if you don't know what your purpose is, then you won't know who to select, right? Or you won't know how to select. And this takes me to another question, which I know real shaky, right? Not shaky, it's a solid question, but it's real um touchy.
Go
Does
ahead.
it does God does God have, or is there that one, does God choose your spouse for you? Is there one person that God has intended for you? Or do we have the freedom of choice to choose our spouse?
I believe without a shadow of a doubt, there is no place in the Bible that says that there is one person for it. I haven't seen it in the Word of God. The theologians who may be looking at this and even looking at it afterwards, they could call me up and correct me. But I haven't seen it anywhere. And I honestly believe that as well because I've seen people who have said, the Lord said that this is my wife or this is my husband, and your husband married to somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
right? So then God trying to mash up families? No, it's not about that. I honestly believe that just as well we have a choice to choose to serve God, we have a choice who we intend to marry. The Bible says that we need to go into it not unaware.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't be going into marriage unaware. We should have all the information. We should do it prayerfully. We should be discerning about it. We should be gathering information, all the intel you could get before you get married. So, in terms of some people saying that there is the one, they're waiting for Neo and the Matrix, I don't see the Bible talking about that. I don't see the Bible talking about that at all.
What are your thoughts on that?
Um, I agree with Ronnie, and I'm not sure if it was you or Ronnie who mentioned the word purpose, and I think it was Ronnie having somebody to work limits with purpose and stuff. And I was thinking, sometimes in a particular season of your life, this person who you are courting with meets your purpose at that point in time. that level of your life, but you're not looking futuristic or you're not looking at your visions for your future. So that person may meet your now, the Mateela now, um, whatever Mateela needs, whatever Mateela sees her purpose at. But the truth is we are ever growing, we are ever changing with God and stuff. And then you realize probably next 2 months, probably 2 years, as you transition or you evolve or you mature in certain things, that person doesn't do the same. But you meet somebody next 2 3 years who doing what you want at that point in time. So it come like if you have two different mates who met the so-called purpose. So I think if it is I know once it is we trust God and we look to God, and I as always say with my sisters, a joke we make, and then you put out a fleece like Gideon, and you say if this is the one, you get somebody who meets you at all points in your life. Because I believe that the person who I liked at 16 was not like at 18, was not like this is examples there. I'm not advertising my hotness. But the person who I liked at different periods of my life, like at that point in time, they were a perfect fit. But however, as time progressed, I realized, wait, boy, that's the person who I wanted to think. So I agree with Ronnie, but I think purpose has a key and a pivotal role to play in that argument or that point.
Yeah, and I think as Ronnie would have said, right, he would have wanted to get married at 23, but the person he was at 23 is not the person who he was last year when
Yeah,
he did get married.
yeah,
And it's the same thing like if I
Okay.
go back in time and I look at who I was a few years ago and what was acceptable to me
yeah,
in a romantic relationship and even in platonic relationships now at
yeah,
5 years later, some of my friends have changed because I have matured and I have changed, and relationships just kind of, temper down a lot.
I
Can
have
I
a
say
question
something?
coming out of. Oh, sorry, Ronnie, go ahead.
What I just want to add to like what Candace is saying is that God doesn't really give us what we want. He gives us what we need.
Yeah.
Yes,
The Bible says, "Let our desires be made known." Let Him know, Lord, I want this, 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 this. You can have your list, and that is good. But God knows what He has for you, and the person He has tailor made for you as well too. And He'll bring that person, and you have to be able to discern and see and be able to choose that person.
and
But I'm not,
sometimes, Ronnie,
not saying that
I
God doesn't
realize,
speak. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and sometimes God
yeah,
God gives you what you want to realize what you want is not what you need. Because sometimes you get what you want, and when it is you and the want going along, you realize, wait, this is not how I could go on. This
exactly.
is not what I need. So yeah,
True.
that is a strong point.
And
Um,
Ronnie made a
Uh,
very pertinent point there. In that we're saying that we have the freedom to choose our spouse, but God still has a role in our choosing of that spouse, and His role is we have to put in some work in that role, but his role is he reveals
okay.
to us what his purpose is for our life.
yeah,
He reveals his will for our life, and he will give guidance as to what we would need to achieve that purpose. So God does
True.
speak to us, God does speak to the mate, God does speak to this person, but personalities are different. So
Mm.
I honestly believe, as Ronnie does, that there
but
God,
Marcella, do you believe, or and Ronnie, do you think God allows you to go into a relationship that isn't the end goal? Do you? So let's say you were afraid, and you say, Lord, is this the person for me? And you feel in the spirit, yes, this is the person that, I get a confirmation, I'm at peace, and this is the person for me. But during the relationship, you get, I now, oh, this is not what I want. Do you believe God allows um, situations like that to occur? Do you believe that God
Wait, wait,
allows the enter into a relationship for a learning process, or God allows it to be a season of your life? Or is it that once that person is not the one that I would have made a boo boo?
I think, yeah, you made a boo boo, and because of the boo boo, that is where the Lord will actually use that to teach you now. Because that is what Romans 8:28 says. All things work together for good to them that love God and are called according to his purpose. That doesn't mean that was the will of God. Eh? What that means is even though you made a boo boo, he will use that boo boo for his purposes to be accomplished.
All
He will
right.
teach you something in the midst of that.
Mm,
Because if God say this is the person for you after you prayed and whatever, and God put his stamp of approval, then that is the person for you. And God
mm,
don't make mistakes.
He
He's
does.
not like man.
mm.
He
He
does.
doesn't make mistakes. Something I wanted to say before as well was that even though we have the power of choice, we are guided by God to make the choice. What
Right.
I mean by that is that I made a choice that Janelle was the woman that I wanted to get married to. And she was like, "No, Ronnie, I know you. You know the Lord must. You want the Lord to talk to you and tell you that." I say, "Hey, the Lord wants me right now to make a choice," and I
Mm,
made the choice. And later on, exact date, the 7th of December 2013, the Lord spoke to me, and the Lord said, "She shall be your wife." End quote. That is what the Lord
mm.
told me. Those were the words. So what you assure me is that you chose well.
Um,
And to answer Candace's question as well, I definitely agree. Nothing happens in this life. My honest belief is that nothing happens in this life, in my life, that God does not allow. And
mhm,
everything that God allows to happen in my life happens for a reason.
mhm.
And I honestly believe we are flesh and we are humans. We are working out salvation. We are working out life as we go with the gracious help of the Holy Spirit. And as we would have discussed in season one, situations, relationships, incidents happen to refine us. There are things that God puts into us that need refining. There are things that are in us as a result of the sinful nature of man that needs to come out of us. And I think interactions with people and even relationships help to highlight certain things. So if I go back in my past and I examine relationships I would have been in, right? And I look at myself today, I could see and say that I will not regret any past relationship because I would have seen that relationship would have exposed certain things in me that would need refining, that would need adjusting, and probably is necessary for the person I am meant to marry.
But we're not saying, but we're not, but I agree with your point, but just for
Clarity.
clarity's sake, we're not saying to go ahead and have relationships to get
No, no,
experience.
no, no.
We're not saying that. I just put out a disclaimer.
That's not what I'm saying at all.
Yes, right,
Because I'm
good.
answering your specific question because the context of the question you
Yeah.
asked was when you would have been in a relationship before and you would have prayed. And I was actually having this discussion very recently with somebody. You would have prayed and you would have told yourself, well, yes, I believe this is the relationship, or I believe this is where God wants me to be. And then it doesn't work out. So you had to ask yourself, you didn't pray right? Was it you that heard yourself talking to yourself? Was it that God didn't, So, I mean, it's a iffy situation, and on a personal level, you have to figure that out with the help of the Holy Spirit, of course. So, I'm not saying you just run out there and, you jump in, yeah, let me get some experience. Let me refine myself by generalizing, dating more than one person at a time and just being very, um, not being cautious
Yeah.
with your relations.
I think a lot of pressure as well too is placed upon people to get into a relationship or to be married, and that causes a lot of mistakes as well too. So, in terms of, we are saying that we need to know who we are, where we are going, in order for someone to be joined together with us. And by this exertion of pressure that may come from even people in the church, friends, family, might cause us to enter into relationships and we make a mess. We make a mess. And I honestly believe that not because you may have a job or you may have a house or you may you may have a vehicle or a business and it's functioning well means that you're ready to be married. That doesn't necessarily mean that.
Yeah.
Because we it's not a materialistic something. God intended marriage not for prosperity financially. God had marriage in mind for purpose. That is the purpose of marriage. It is for purpose. And if it is, well, okay, I'm making the amount of money I need to make. I have car, I have this, I have everything. I'm ready to get married. And you jump into marriage, and within a few years, it mash up. Because you may have things on the outside that looks right, or what people believe you should have. And at the same time, you're not walking where God wants you to be. You're not matured in Christ. You don't understand what it is you need to be doing, and it is more or less it was right. If I can put it like that, it becomes what's right. So I think it's some of these discussions that need to be had and had in the church and had from a position that is real. It has to be real.
I'm going to ask you a tricky question now.
Okay.
Do you think, I mean, because we're talking from the Christian perspective, do you think that the church adequately prepares young people or people for relationships? Meaning, are we adequately instructed or schooled or guided with respect to how to go about relationships into marriage?
No. A resounding no. There may be specific churches or specific people that are doing it, but I would say no. Because being saved for 20 years and then being a part of the Christian family per se or the church family for more than that, I would say no, because you don't have much people actually sitting down and sharing knowledge with, right? Say, as the Bible says, I think it's in the book of First or Second Timothy that speaks about the older men speaking to the younger men, and also speaks about the older women speaking to the younger women. So teaching them how to take care of a family, how to take care of a house, how to take care of kids, how to love a woman, because some of these things not even happening within the home, where fathers teaching them, hey, son, this is how you need to treat a woman. This is how you need to behave, or this is how you need to do to be a man. It is not being actually or effectively done. Because a lot of times, like, you have to learn by trial and error. You have to learn by trial and error, and these are the mistakes coming. But if it is, we have people we can be accountable to and who help guiding it through the process, I think it will be much easier, because how God set up everything, it's supposed to be generations teaching the generations to come. So I would say no, Mateela.
I think I agree, which is why I would have asked the question in the first place. And I think we kind of see it when you look around at the state of marriages nationally in the church. You see the lack of preparedness that people have. There are two comments that some persons just made there that I think we could try and address real quickly. Well, not real quickly. The first one would be Marissa is saying that a lot of the times our strong desire for a relationship sometimes blinds us into thinking that we are making the right choice. And when it doesn't work out, we chalk it up to God allow us to experience heartbreak. So
Keep going out to the bacchanal.
Exactly.
That is what we do.
Exactly. But it's a real situation though that and there's another comment that's related to this from Nakia, where she's saying that, you know, society puts a lot of pressure on women, particularly for their biological clock. And you know, that whole thing with time running out when you reach a certain age and everybody's so you ain't married yet, you gotta make children, you know, and all these different kinds of things. And these pressures, one, the pressure from society that, you know, you need to be married, to the people who always ask in your family or whatever about children, whatever, could, I mean, we spoke about mental health and stuff before, but in this respect, you know, the consistent questions, the consistent pressure, knowing you're getting older, knowing you're getting younger, and just wanting companionship could cause you to make some very poor choices. And marriage, poor relationship choice and a poor marriage choice is a choice that sticks for life. So how would we here, because this is an individual thing, and but we had to learn from each other and pick up tips and stuff. How would you say, or what would you say would have been your let's say your coping mechanism from 23 to last year, with whatever I don't know if you men get the same pressure that we get.
Yes, we do.
We do? Okay, good. How would you have coped with the pressure of one you yourself wanting to be married and it not happening, and then two, the people that would be asking, but Ronnie, you gotta make children, your mother needs grandchildren, and your father this and whatever. What was your coping mechanism like, or how did you navigate that whole situation?
It might sound bad, but I just particularly didn't care what anybody had to say. And all Christian people, all believers, you need to ask God for the grace to not care. Because if it is you're living your life to please people, just as I said, you'll be making poor choices. And I think that is where the problem is happening, because you're studying what this one's saying. You're studying what are getting old. When we are serving the Father of time, anybody can make children at any point in time. So we're not stressing about that. So I don't think we should let anybody be dictating our lives to that extent. So I think the person needs to know who they are firstly, to not let any kind of outside influences come in and just say, hey, you need to. Why do I need to? Are you willing to walk me through this process? Are you willing to give me money to get married? Are you going to give me somewhere to stay? Are you going to mind the kids when they come? You understand what I'm saying?
Understood.
So you understand what I'm saying?
I like that. Ask God for the spirit. I do care.
Yeah. Get an anointing, Candace.
Yeah.
I am going to seek it out from tonight.
You're gonna approach the throne.
Yeah.
So somebody has made a comment, and there's a part of the comment I want to jump on as well, where she's saying that a lot of the times you get pressure from people in the church about a spouse in the church, and a lot of the times when it comes to dating and relationships and marriage, a lot of Christian people will support a particular person just because they're in the church.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a higher
He's a
level.
good Christian boy. You picky? What happened to you?
Yeah. Oh, the too picky.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, I think that's something. I mean, it's kind of lighthearted when you think about it, but it's a very serious issue that sometimes we think. I personally think, when it comes to dating and relationships, as Christian people, we kind of drop the buck a lot. I think we tend to look at just the person being a Christian and going to church alone as the checklist. So he coming to church, he worshiping, he
Paying time.
he paying tithes. Well, yeah, it's a wrap. Let's get married. And then you get into a relationship or you get married, and then you have to deal with stink attitudes. You have to deal with a lot of other things. A man who's lazy, a man who's not following the prescription that was set out for Adam. Be, as Ronnie started off by saying, be in purpose, be doing work, be in the garden where you're meeting with God or whatever. There are a lot of elements that I think we ignore. We just say, yeah, he's saved, so yeah, it's a go. Do you all think that's a legitimate observation of mine, or?
Yeah, I think it's legitimate. I think it's legitimate because, as I said, it's the pressures being exerted, which I think sometimes might sound bad again, but Christian people don't think before the talk. They really don't think before the talk. They just say the first thing that come out the mouth, and which is tend to be a bit bad, because at the end of the day, who is going to be wrong when you have to pick up the pieces if you end up in a divorce, or if you end up with a wedlock or something like that? Who is going to be around? So I think sometimes what needs to happen is that we have to have conversations about this situation. We have to have conversations how it is we are going to deal with the situation. Is this person viable in terms of, yes, they may be coming to church, but are they Christian?
Are they bearing fruit?
Are they bearing fruit?
By their fruit you shall know them.
And I
because like
like that point. I like that point Ronnie made with at the end of the day, who's going to be there? At the end of the day, it's
yeah,
going to be you. And I know a lot of Christian couples who would have reached up to engaged and they sent out wedding invitations, two couples I know in particular, and they're not calling up the wedding because they realize, listen, I realize this is not what I want.
yeah,
And it's because at the end of the day, I'm not going to let my pride get the best of me. I'm not going to let pressure get the best of me. I'm not even going to let whatever, my pastor, my friends, if it is,
yeah,
I know this is not what I want, I have to make the decision and I have to say no. I don't want this person, no matter how good of a fit we make, or
yeah,
no matter how long we would have been together. At the end of the day, it's you.
yep.
Nobody. It's when you're 23 to the testimony. I can't start to tell people about that testimony now. Like if you
That
had, if you,
23
if
38. That's
yeah,
exactly what you call it. 23
yeah,
38.
23 to the age. Like if you got married at 23, I am sure you would have been in shambles. you know, and
Possibility exists.
God kept you at 38 and you are without regrets and peace of mind knowing that listen, I have and I am at peace and this
Yeah.
is the will of God and I am good. So yeah, Mateela 23 to the 8 rule. Chillax until 23 to the 8. So that I
Let
like that point,
God do
Ronnie.
the work. Let God do the work in the
Yeah.
meantime. And I think one thing that I keep in my mind as I navigate this whole situation is that me, I don't believe in divorce and remarriage, right? I believe my intention is to I have one marriage in me. That's that. I have one marriage in me,
Amen.
right? No more.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to be very careful with that choice because the wrong choice
Yeah.
is me setting myself up for the rest of my life.
Love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
Yeah.
if I could just put in a plug here as well too. One of the biggest things that people get married for is what they see on television, which is love. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't love who you're gonna get married to. You need to love the person. But
Mm.
they get married and they say, well, we're going to love, and this is where Hollywood, Bollywood, and Nollywood messes up the scene. And we we think that because I love the person, everything is going to be well, everything is going to work out properly. We're not going to have any issues, and better that we are
Mm.
Christians, we're good to go.
Right.
But no, that is not true. A relationship, a marriage is work,
Walk.
real work. But and it's not bad work I saying it because marriage is beautiful. I want to get that out there. Marriage is beautiful. I only married a few months and I enjoying it. I feel like I'm married. Yes, God is good. But I'm saying that you need to work, and the work don't finish. It
Stop.
don't done. It is continual work. So if it is you're not willing to work, stay by yourself. Leave people boy child, leave people girl child alone. Because your wife or your husband is going to come when you're not feeling well, when you're frustrated, when you're emotional, when you're agitated, all kind of thing. And you have to do it because this is your wife, this is your husband. And I think people don't understand that. They have the airy fairy happily ever after something in the back of the mind, and they believe that lie. Marriage is
Ronnie,
work.
so what will you tell? I'm a youth leader. No, you are into youth. Mateela is very involved with youth as well. What will you tell your 15, 16, your Form 4, your Form 5, Upper 6 youth who says to you, Ronnie, I see this girl, I love this girl, I believe she is the one. What will you advise them to do relationship wise? Should a 16 or 15-year-old um, teenager be in a relationship?
Um, Personally, I don't think so because these are formative years as well, too, right? Candace, I know you into psychology and things. And these are, you're still trying to figure out who you are, and you're still trying to work out what is taking place in your life. So I'm not saying that there may not be mature 16-year-old, 15-year-old people, but at the end of the day, I think more than anything, purpose is paramount in this scene. Purpose is paramount. So yes, some 15-year-old and 16-year-old still trying to figure out what they're going to study.
Yeah.
What are going to be the major? You're going to tell me now, you're going to figure out who's your wife now? I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm not saying it's not possible. But it can happen, because when we go on to missions in the bush, in the Amazon and thing, it happens there. Because when they reach 15, 16, they are considered a man. Right? In our Western society, 15 and 16 is not considered a man. They might feel he's a man, but he's not a man.
He's a child.
You understand? So it is something that we need to understand how it is we deal with people. We need to understand how we deal with them and let them know, are you ready to get married now? Are you ready to have kids? Are you ready to think about it? Like, one thing my pastor does show people, okay, you just buy maybe a pants, a jersey, a jockey shorts for you. Right? Now think about having a wife. You have to buy underwear, you have to buy brassiere, you have to buy clothes, you have to buy deodorants, you have to buy sanitary, you have to buy all kind of things. Now think about that. You know, and plenty of times when you throw out all these things, we're like, wait, now I really consider these things. Because sometimes we always want to make it spiritual, but we have to be practical as well too.
Yes.
Are we willing to do these things? And I'm talking about marriage and relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look at, because the relationship is to get to marriage.
Yeah.
So I think it is something that we have to show people the practicality of this thing. If it is what you want, it is a big step and a big jump. Because as you would say, see me and come live with me is two different things.
Right.
Totally I want to add to what Ronnie was saying as well, on the practical side of things, because my experience has been that 15 and 16 years old, as Ronnie rightly said, you kind of don't really know anything. You don't even know yourself properly. And knowing yourself is what enables you to know who would be good for you. Right? You see yourself in Form 5 and you pick to do sciences. Then you reach Form 6 and you realize, boy, I like business instead. Then you reach university, you pick up major, then you realize, boy, that thing is fade. I don't really like that. So you are a continuous work in progress. You are developing continuously. And as Ronnie said, there are people who would have met and married at 18 and they remain married until 100 and they die. Right? But the I don't know if statistics will show, because I didn't check any statistics, right? But I am almost certain that you would see it happens in my line of work. You see it. People start, they get married here, and everything is fine, and then along the way, a particular experience happens: the death of a child, the loss of something, or whatever, and people change. And as a result of people changing, relationships could fail. And there are layers. I always use the example. I remember talking to my colleague one time in the office, and we were describing why we think it is better to wait and take time to get to know yourself first before you engage somebody else. Because we as people, we are like an onion. We have layers. And it takes time to peel back layer by layer by layer by layer. So if I meet you now, in 2 months' time, it could work out that you might be able to see a lot of somebody in 2 months' time, because people get married in 3 months, 2 months, 6 months, and it lasts. But numbers will show you that relationships that progress that way may tend not to last as long. So again, it comes back down again to practicality, and you have to include the spiritual aspects as well, when you need to talk to God and know what really, really is, what God is saying to you about yourself, and what God is saying to you about a particular person as well. I think there's a question on someone got annoyed with me recently when I said I'm not agreeing with any 7-year-old having a serious relationship. What do you think about that? 17-year-old, sorry. I agree.
Yeah, I think you answered the question now.
Serious relationship for a 17-year-old. What does that mean? Starbucks? TGI, what does that mean? I don't understand.
We're going to the mall. Yeah, it's a lot. I have a question that came from off of Facebook there, Ronnie. It's for you. The person is wondering when you would have said that you wanted to get married at 23, but the 2338 testimony, is it the same person that you wanted to get married to at 23 that you eventually married?
When I wanted to get married at 23, I didn't really have, my 20 years of being a Christian, I didn't really have any Christian girlfriends. I just had like two Christian relationships, right? And so after the first one ended was my first year of being a believer. And after that, I didn't really want anything to do with women after that, because I said that I just want to focus on Jesus. And Lord, a woman can make me lose my inheritance. I don't want to go down that road, Lord. I don't want to go to hell for a woman. So at 23, I didn't know who. All I know, I said, you see,
you wanted to get married.
Just wanted to get married. I don't know where the woman was coming from. She had to be there by 23.
I get you. There are two questions in the comments that we want to look at. Somebody's asking, what do you mean by soil merchandise?
Soil merchandise?
I missed that because I feel like I didn't hear.
I didn't hear that either.
Somebody said something about Simon.
I know someone advertisement, advertising for something.
Yeah, I remember that. So maybe Simon could just remind us as to what statement was made saying soil merchandise, because I don't recall. This is another point I wanted to raise with
I
Ronnie.
think Simon is responding to a comment that somebody made.
Okay, all right. This question I wanted to look at because I was going to ask Ronnie a question along this line when you were talking about marriages just a short while ago. This person is saying, well, Nakia is saying, we tend to idolize our grandparents' 60-year relationship, while in that 60 years is a bunch of lies, hurt, pain, and unhappiness that we overlook, right? And I wanted to make the point earlier that nowadays we have a culture of non-stick-to-itiveness. At the first sign, in my opinion, at the first sign of difficulty, we want to say, nah, I can't deal with that. This is not for me. Nobody ain't coming to stress me out. Everybody toxic, everybody whatever. Right? So do you I mean, marriage is not easy. And I think that's what Nakia is alluding to. Because you're talking about two totally, we went through this in our family of origin episode last season, and the power of parenting as well. The fact that when you get married, you have two totally different people raised in two totally different homes that have two totally different ideas as to how things should be done. So there would be difficulties in marriage, but stick-to-itiveness, Ronnie, in 2020. That's my question. Candace, Ronnie, that's my question.
Just as you said, Mateela, marriage, you want one marriage. Well, unless somebody dies or something like that, but you want one marriage. That is the aim of it. There is no way out. There is no way out. And I think that is where right now we have a lot of people, they're always looking for a way out because they know they like to sing Jesus is the way maker, so they're always looking for a way out. And that is wrong. Is either we are in this thing or we leave the person alone. Because even what Nakia is saying, that we idolize our relationship. Sometimes we have a twisted view that because we see something that has longevity, we think it is quality. And that is not true. That is not true. Because I could think about my grandparents, and I could think about the horn, the outside woman, the outside child, all kind of drama I could think about. But they were married long. You understand? They're like, wow, that was a great marriage. No. And that is what people have a problem with. Because back in the days, it didn't have like now that your mother would tell you, come back home if you hit here, or come back home if you're having problems. Go and work out the situation. Right? So that was a good and was a bad at the same time as well too.
Yeah.
So I think, as I said, work. If you're not cut out to work, Leave the people child alone.
And
Stay by yourself.
I also think that add to what Ronnie is saying and to Mateela's question. Even before marriage in a relationship, you will know because come back to Mateela's point, family of origin. You will know what you desire. You will know what you see being Ronnie, let me use you as an example. You would know what you want for your children. You will know how you want to have your family life set up, and you will have to speak with Janelle about it, and you will have to know how Janelle see things. So even before marriage, you get to know the person, you get to know what it
Yeah,
is, what is the vision
yeah,
for this person, what is the vision for that person. It's important to have those conversations so that when it says you get into marriage, of course, certain things will take you by surprise because I'm living with this person, of course, but you have a
yeah,
general idea of what your expectations are. And even in the relationship or the courtship, when it is you realize no, Mateela made that very important point. Mateela said, no, sometimes we run too quickly, and that is the truth. But I believe there are some things that you should, because you're not going to get a perfect person. You're going to get somebody who is going to have faults. You're going to get you are going to be at fault in that person, I as well.
sure.
But you have to understand that, listen, I know that this is the person for me, and there are some things, although we don't agree on, I will work on it. I'm not going to run away. Because I saw
So,
in you and Janelle's courtship, there are certain things you didn't agree with at all.
of course,
but
many things.
yeah, but you know what, you would have said to yourself, Ronnie, this is will have bought you, and you and Janelle would have sit down and work it out. So at the same time, so to answer Matilda's point, there are some things, of course, that let's just say you realize the person is a gambler for sure. That is something. Well, this is my opinion. I'm not speaking for Mateela or Ronnie's behalf, but let's just say the person you realize the person is a gambler. For sure, you know that's something I can't tolerate. But if you know the person about a spending problem, let's say I don't always be buying handbag every 4 days I need to get a handbag. That is something like I have a conversation about. So different toxic things, different toxic things. I think it depends on the person.
Yeah. And I think what you guys saying, right, in answer to that question, takes us back to where we started at the beginning. And that is, you need to take your time and you need to observe. You need
Yeah,
to evaluate. You need to assess. And the
yeah,
best way to do that is to see people in their natural environment, in their
yeah,
natural space. So, I'll even say, my mom and I have a little in my parents old school, right? Real old school. So my mom would say, she has this belief, or she was brought up knowing that the young lady does not go to the young man's home. The young man comes to visit the young lady, or whatever the case may be. And I remember having a discussion with um a very good friend of mine, a mature lady that's a friend of mine, and she said to me, you know and I subscribe to her take on the issue, is that she was explaining to me that had she um, gone, or was she allowed to go to her husband's home when they were courting, and had she seen the things that she would have seen after they had gotten married, she could not have married him,
hmm,
because she would have realized that the way things happen in that home, the way they treat each other, the way they interact with each other, is not what she would have wanted for herself.
Mhm.
So it takes us back to the beginning, where there is merit in, and there's great gain in getting to know somebody in groups. Go out with the person and their friends, see how they are when walls fall down and guards drop. Go to their home, see how he or she interacts with her mother, with her father, with her siblings. Because what you see and how you are, what somebody shows you in a particular period of time gives you, you will never know everything, and you could never know somebody fully beforehand, but it will give you a
So,
very good idea,
yeah,
right, as to how this person is. And it would give you a very good idea as to the kind of questions you need to ask, the kind of situations you need to put to this person. So what you think about, so it helps to, for me, it helps to focus on a person at a time, because you can't do the level of observation and investigation that is required on 4 people at the same time. So for
Yeah.
me, safety is focus your attention, know your purpose, talk to God, know your purpose, find out God's will for your life. Focus your attentions using your purpose and using the Holy Spirit as your guide. Do
Of
your
course.
due diligence, pay attention, ask questions, go out in groups, go to their home, observe their interactions with family and stuff, and you will be in a better position to make a good choice of a spouse.
Godly
So I don't
choice.
know. This conversation is awesome to me, and I now realize it's 4 minutes to 7. So that was my little wrap up. We don't want to keep people from watching the news and stuff like that. So I don't know if Ronnie or Candace have anything to add. I know we have a little mic drop segment that we want Ronnie to do before he goes, which we didn't tell him about before. But so any closing comments from Candace and Ronnie?
No, I don't have any closing comments. I'll hand over my time to Ronnie.
Well, that means you could do the mic drop with Ronnie then. So
So
get things.
no problem. No
I don't know what
problem.
that means, but I will give my comments here right now. So what Candace was talking about there, I believe sometimes we always think that the person that is going to come into our life is going to be a finished product, right? So that is why I was talking about the advertisement stage. We need to stop advertising and let people see who you are in your environment, your natural habitat, your ecosystem, and let them know that even when we are joined together, you are part of the development process.
Yes.
And that is what people, you should come here and you should know what it is supposed to. You should be able to cook roti, you should be able to cook kalalu, you should be able to cook everything right up. No, there's development that needs to take place. We have to
Right.
understand how to function together, how to create our own culture.
Yeah.
All these kind of things that is necessary. And oh yeah, just to put in a plug, I believe what the Bible says to live and cleave. Even if you have to go and rent, go and rent.
Yes, brother.
Not dead money. I will say it again on
Take
the
it
live.
easy,
It is not
Mateela.
dead money. That is a
Yes,
lie from
brother.
the pits of hell. That is an investment into a relationship because you cannot pay for peace of mind.
Oh
You
yes.
cannot pay for that.
Oh
You cannot
yes.
pay for it. So that
Oh
is
yes.
something. If you don't have a house, go and rent. So
Mm.
you and your wife can establish your relationship, establish your culture without any in-laws interference. Because at the end of
Mm.
the day, if you're in someone's house, you are in someone's house. And the last thing I want to say is that we have to look at marriage differently. It is not just, yes, it's about purpose, and yes, happiness comes in there as well too. But at the end of the day, you have to look at marriage. What if marriage is about becoming Christ-like,
Mm.
right? And I learned this from our very good friend, Pastor Dominic Scott. He dropped this to me, and he told me that what if marriage is about becoming Christ-like?
Mm.
So if you want to be like Christ, you have to be able to suffer like Christ.
Mm.
And think about your marriage. So then again, Christ wanted to give up, but he didn't give up. He wanted it because he asked, he said, if it's possible, let it pass. And sometimes
Mm.
in your relationship, in your marriage, you might reach a place, if it's possible, but nevertheless, not my will, but your will. And I think it is something that if it is we change the way that we view marriage, we'd have a better marriage. Because we think a marriage is about me. Because there's a lot of people, the idea people go into marriage, well, she
Yeah.
had to please me. She had to
Mm.
cook, she had to clean, and then when I ready for hugging up, she had to hug me up too. So
Mm.
sometimes we have this wrong mentality about this
Right.
thing. So I honestly believe that we need to change the way we look at it, and we need to teach the right thing in the church. Teach the right thing. Because we teach sometimes this kind of airy fairy something, and then we set these, gosh, it has so much of things I want to say about this. So much of things.
Go ahead.
And
Go ahead.
people, young ladies, young men, you gotta be able to have these high standards for this person who's going to come into our life. That you yourself not even reaching, you yourself not even meeting these standards, and you want them to reach these standards, and you're not willing to compromise these standards. I want this, and this is where it is You could use the age and the time clock. You're getting old and you're waiting for what? As I said it in a live here, you're waiting for Jesus. Because only Jesus Christ could fit that description. And that
Right.
is what plenty people are waiting on. Plenty, because he has to be this, she has to be like that, she has to be, and there are good men, good women that coming around, and you are shooting them down because you have this image in your mind, and you're not willing to compromise on it. So you have people in the 50s and the 60s, they're still waiting for the person. And the image of the person that they have is the image of the person that they had when they were in their 20s. So what I could say, this marriage is a beautiful thing, but we need to teach you right thing.
Right.
That is what I believe. We need to teach you right thing.
Ronnie,
So
you
yes.
drop real gems there. Real gems. Things on fire. I like your statement about, you believe in leave and cleave, because each marriage has to establish their own culture. That's very, very, very important. Very, very,
Sure.
very important. Right. So we hand over to Candace. So Candace will talk you through our mic drop.
Okay, sure. Before I do the mic drop, Ronnie, something that we said there, and I got the opportunity to do my closing comments, but it's Ronnie Gems that have me doing a closing comments. So
Ronnie
please
Gems.
apologize.
He's spitting.
You said something to me that I have learned, especially this season of my life. Nothing beats peace of mind. Nothing. And you said at the end of the
Amen.
day, ensure that you have peace of mind. And that is something that I learned, and your peace of mind will trouble somebody else's mind, but that is not for you to worry about. It's not for you to worry about, So I love that point you made about peace of mind. Okay, mic drop. So Ronnie, I'm going to give you a word example, stick, and you have to give me some gems about this stick, meaning that it could be like, so like this stick, it can be like this stick, you husband and wife must come together and be one and be whole and together in Christ. You all will be straight, and God will use you all
Strong.
to be strong, and nothing could break you all. So that's just an example. So I'm just gonna give you a word, a random word, and you have to do the same thing I just did to that one word.
Give us a gem related to
Yeah.
relationships and marriage based on the
Yeah.
word that she gives you.
Holy Ghost.
So that that mic drop. Just jump up on me. Yeah. All right, Ronnie. And your word is plug.
My word is what?
Plug.
Plug.
P-L. Yeah.
Interesting. Taxing my brains here. When I think about plug, I think about being connected to the source. Being connected to the source. It is like we can have a television. It's all good, a nice 55-inch Samsung smart TV, everything. And if it is not plugged in, it makes no sense. And so too, just like my wife and I, if it is we are not actually plugged into the source, which is Christ Jesus, we will make no sense. And there will be actually nothing, no enjoyment, no entertainment, no life coming out of said television. So that is why we need to be plugged in to the source.
Awesome stuff. Awesome mic drop. Ronnie, Big Brother Ronnie, thank you so very much. I mean, this conversation was awesome. It was amazing. You brought a lot of good gems. You brought a lot of practical thoughts, practical reasoning, and that is why we have WTT, because we felt that sometimes the practicalities get kind of lost in the crosses and stuff. So thank you very much for giving us of your time, of your effort, of your energy. You will tell Janelle that we missed her. We really appreciate you. We appreciate as I say, the wisdom you shared. I mean, in the comments there, Big Brother Ronnie, very good. You know, people looking for a church shout emoji because you preach. You preach without preaching, and you reach. I think you would have you reached me, and I think you would have reached people on a level where they could have related very well to what you would have said. Thanks for your openness. Thanks for your willingness again. I see somebody ask for a part two, but we had to have 3, 4, 5, 6 because it's a real thing to talk about. So thanks very much, Ronnie. Thanks very much.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
All right. Great. Candace? Frozen? Oh,
No, I'm right. I'm right here.
yeah.
I share your sentiments. Thanks again, Ronnie. Really appreciate you. And the thing about Ronnie keeps it real and he's very humble. That's what I like about Ronnie.
Yeah.
Very, very humble and he brings it real. As Mateela said in the comments, people blowing up, they really appreciate it. So thanks again. I know this season of your life you have been sharing on relationships and your testimony. I saw Ronnie has a powerful testimony as well. Sometimes you can get him to come and share when it comes to sexuality and stuff like that. So Ronnie, we appreciate you. We thank you so much. God bless you and God keep you and may you and your wife lack nothing and all that your heart desire. I pray and I believe that God will continue to bless you and
You see that.
Yes. In Jesus' name. Blessings to you. Blessings to Janelle. Thanks very much. And good night, everybody. Thanks for being
No
here.
problem.
Y'all would have stayed on a long time. We had fun. It was good interacting and engaging with y'all. And we will meet up with you a week after next, where we continue our relationship series. I can't remember what next session's topic is going to be about, but you will hear from us soon. So have a great evening. Sorry for making you all miss 7 minutes of the news. Enjoy. Have a good evening, everybody.
Okay, bye then.